Okay, since we were on the topic of college basketball, I just want to do the smooth transition to Tristan's comment. And Tristan's was, what team could be like that Cinderella type team as far as making a run in the tournament? He mentioned FAU and Loyola. I don't necessarily want you to kind of keep this to just like non-power five teams or non-power conference teams. I'm thinking teams outside the top 25 that could find themselves with a run in March. So, look at the too early top 25. Do you have a team in mind that is currently not in the top 25 that could make a run in March?
My flip to you is, do we have a consensus too early top 25 that we trust?
I've been using ESPN one.
Okay, let me click into that. I have two teams that immediately came to mind, but in honesty, they are probably fringe top 25 teams. So let me make sure they're not in here. I'm
Yeah.
scrolling.
So when I originally did this exercise, I picked one team, figured out that that team was like 23rd in the too early top 25. So I might honorable mention them. And then I had one other team that I don't know if they are fringe top 25. They're probably like a team in the 30 to 40 range.
Okay. So I have can I say my first one that is in the top 25 so I can't name them, but it was going to be my answer?
Yes.
Miami was going to be my answer. I didn't know that this was a top 25 team. I've seen a lot of other alternate versions of ESPN's top 25 that have not included this team. This team was in the Final Four last year. They've made tournament runs a couple years running. Like, they've won more games than they should. And they got Nigel Pack back, and I think that's huge. Like, they also got Norchad back. Like, these dudes, I just watched them. I was there. I saw it with my eyes. These guys were just in the Final Four, and it was kind of a game with UConn for at least the beginning of that game. I know they lost a lot. Like, I know Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong are obviously hugely important, but like Nigel Norchad, Wooga Poplar, and adding Matthew Cleveland, like ripping him from an in-state rival, that's a squad, man. Like, that's a squad I expect to compete in the ACC. And our friend of the show, To, has been doing his like ACC top 5 various superlatives, and I've been helping him edit the videos. And one of them was like top 5 freshman. Kaishawn George is a
Yeah,
Miami freshman who people should know about.
I saw that video from To actually, and that actually had me going onto YouTube and doing a little deep dive myself. Where why is he not being talked about?
I think they just ripped him from overseas and nobody like knew about him, but
I mean, he was like productive in a good league overseas.
and doing shit like off the dribble,
Yeah.
flashy, fun. Like, I'm now in on Nigel Pack, Kaishawn George, Matthew Cleveland, and Norchad. Like, that's a squad.
And underrated of that is that we love a good K name. We love Keontae George. We can just transition to Kayshawn George
I love
or
any
Kayshawn George.
I love anything Sean. Blank Sean. Like, if I can get a blank Sean, like a no Sean, I love a no Sean, a Ty Sean, a Kai Sean, anything Sean, I'm in on.
You a big Tyshawn Taylor guy?
I like the name Tyshawn a lot. And also I love the memory of Tyshawn losing to Michigan. A great moment for me in my life. Okay, they don't count because your question was outside the top 25 and they're 18th in ESPN's top 25. So I have two outside of the top 25 that come to mind.
Okay.
First one is Auburn. We've talked about Auburn. I'll just be brief on it, but I don't know why they're not in the top 25. I think they should be. I think they're underrated. I think Aiden Holloway is going to be a household name, lottery pick, one and done type, super talented guard. And they bring back the front court guys. Like, they bring back pretty much everybody important from last year's team except for Wendell Green. And last year's team was fringe top 25. They weren't great by any means, but they were a good basketball team. So I think you remove the craziness of Wendell and replace it with just supreme lottery pick talent. I like that on paper. And I like Bruce Pearl when no one's talking about Bruce Pearl too.
I like that pick. There's going to be dangerous amounts of money placed on Auburn basketball this year, and I think there'll be some good value to start the season.
Yeah, for sure. I have one final one, and then can I throw to you? But it's my final one.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so people are already mad watching this. I know it. Like, I've fired out. There's probably like 75 people watching this who are just like, damn it, he did it again. What a loser. He did it again. Clickbait gate. It's not clickbait gate. Illinois belongs on this list. Illinois belongs on this list legitimately. And hell yes, I used an Illinois player in the thumbnail because now I'm talking about how Illinois can make a Final Four this year. I've said it on other episodes, Cart. One of these years, they're just going to get a good draw. They are more than due. And that's not bullshit. Like, the NCAA tournament so often comes down to draw. It just is what it is. There's a reason last year you and I circled Michigan State immediately and we're like, this team can actually make a run, because we weren't afraid of Shaka Smart in the round of 32. Like, there's a reason why Michigan with Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman at shooting guard made a national title. Like, they didn't play anybody good in that run. And people downplay that as an important element of this so much. Like, when you look back on the years of performance in March, so much of it comes down to, did you get lucky with who you got to play? Mm-hmm. And I think Illinois has been abundantly unlucky. And I know that's a really easy way to just assign all of the issues with Brad's performance in March, but it's true. Like, any draw they've gotten, they've played a team that was way outperforming their seed line based on all the advanced analytics. So one of these years, that's just not going to happen. Like, they deserve the karma of getting teams that are like 30 spots worse than their seed line for once, or getting some teams that upset better teams along the way. And I know it's dumb to pick a team's going to make a run in March, because that's going to happen. They might just get screwed with their draw again. But here's the thing about Illinois' roster that I realized when we were doing the slept on players video earlier this week. Every player on the Illinois roster is too good to qualify for that. Like, we talk about.
I was going to follow it up with, I think we missed Justin Harmon as slept on.
I don't even think we can count him as slept on, because, like, he might start for them. Like, that's the thing for Illinois. We talk about how deep Michigan State is. There isn't a player on the Illinois roster other than AJ Red that I think is not a starting caliber guy. Like, their 12th guy could start for this team, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, Amani Hansberry won't start because Dane Ainge is there and he's a freshman, but he would be fine if he needed to start. So they're going to have to pick 5, and I've talked about what that means for locker room chemistry stuff. But, like, at the end of the day, man, this is one of the deepest teams I've ever seen in the Big Ten, and it's one of I think it's the deepest team Brad Underwood has assembled. And he needs to hit on the stars, but after last year's issue with the quote unquote superstars that didn't work out, maybe it's better that they just do it like by committee, and they've got 12 good ass players that are tough. And if they can keep everybody happy, I like this. I like that Brad is going under the radar. Nobody's talking about him as a ranked team. Nobody's talking about him as a Big Ten contender. Nobody's talking about him in March, because you know to write off Illinois in March. Let me buy low on Illinois. I'm in.
Right. Well, I loved all your picks, by the way. I also, so I'm going to say my 2 teams. I'm going to say the first team that I wanted to pick, but figured out they're in the top 25. They're at 23. St. Mary's Gales. Okay. Hear me out, G, because I'm not a big advocate of, I don't know, teams outside of Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference. But this team is old, for one. This team is old. This team is well coached. And Aiden Mahaney is one of the best guards in the country. And he was really, really good last year as a freshman. I think good enough to make the jump to the NBA. And he came back, and he's going to be really good this year. And I think that he alone, surrounded by a bunch of guys who know he's the guy. I know they lost Johnson from last season, but this is a team of old guys who play a certain system and are talented as well. And they got a 4-star guard coming in who I really like, Jordan Ross. I think that this team can do some things, and it's just basically centered around Mahaney being that guy. And I think that he can do that. Now, he's in the top 25, so obviously they're excluded from this exercise. But one of the teams that no one's really talking about enough, I think. I think they're going to be really, really good. I will be having a future on them winning the West Coast Conference this season. I think they win it. But the team I'm going to go with, I'm going to stick in the Big Ten. I think it's Maryland. I truly think it's Maryland. I think Maryland can make the run. Once again, a team that, the draw is so important. It really is. You spoke to Illinois and what they had to do. Literally their draw last year, and this was before the draws are even bad the years before that, they run into Eric Musselman and the Arkansas Razor. I'm sorry. Yeah, Eric Musselman and the Arkansas Razorbacks. if they win that game, they run into Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks. Like that's tough. That's a murderer's row. That's really tough. Arkansas was way better than the 9 seed that they were, the 8 seed that they were. They just had injuries during the season, but that team was a lot better than people gave them credit for.
And go further back too. I'm sorry, but like the year before they got Houston as a 4 or a 5 seed, Houston was the top 5 team in the country that year.
Yeah. It's tough break.
And the year before, now I'm going back, Loyola. Should you have beaten Loyola? Yeah. Was Loyola an 8 seed? No, they were like a top 15 team in the country. So they deserve some karma, man. So does Maryland.
Justice for Champaign. Jesus, man. But no, I'm going with Maryland. I think that Jameer Young is going to be one of the best point guards in the Big Ten, maybe even have a conversation for one of the best point guards in the country. There's a world where we get to the end of the season and Jameer Young is the best point guard in the Big Ten. He has that ability. And he can beat those other guys that we talk about in the Big Ten. Deshaun Harris-Smith is a pro. What he does can truly unlock this ceiling. If he's a bona fide first-round draft pick and playing like one the whole year, that backcourt is extremely tough.
Is he a pro or a pro's pro?
I thought a pro's pro is a negative connotation, isn't it?
I don't know. Is he a pro or is he a pro's pro?
He's a pro.
Okay.
He's an NBA. He's an NBA player.
I'm in then.
Okay, and then you couple that with, I think it's addition by subtraction with Hakeem Hart. What you say? What?
Continue. I'm sorry. Continue.
Sorry, I think it's addition by subtraction with Hakeem Hart because you can put a guy like Jamie Kaiser in. I think is a little more dynamic than Hakeem. Okay. And I truly think that Hakeem kind of ran his course at Maryland too. Like there was no other step for him necessarily. And he just wanted to get out and have a change of scenery. That's fine. I think it improves the team a little bit. Dante Scott is finally going to put it together. He really, not even put it together. He's just not going to get worse from the previous season. That's not going to happen. That's been the trend. And then if Julian Reese can stop fouling, he's one of the better low post players in the Big Ten as well. So I like this Maryland team.
I love this Maryland team too, but I'm just, as you go point by point on why they can make a Final Four, I'm realizing that I'm out on this Maryland team. If Julian Reese can stop fouling, he never can stop fouling. If Dante Scott can just not get worse for the first time in 3 years, okay, like sure, that's not a good thing to say about a guy.
Damn it, I wasn't supposed to talk you out of it.
I want to buy them. I do like them on paper. I think they're top 4 or 5 in the Big Ten. The Hakeem Hart thing's interesting because I have definitely said repeatedly, I don't think that's going to hurt them. And I don't get why people are acting like Hakeem Hart's this like needle moving piece. He's just a guy, but he is a good player guy. I just was laughing. I've never heard it actually put as it's addition by subtraction. Like, was Hakeem Hart like a toxic guy?
Not necessarily, but I think that Jamie Kaiser brings some things that Hakeem Hart didn't.
Okay. I like that spin for sure.
Yeah, I guess addition by subtraction was a little harsh. You say that about a guy who's bad.
I view that term as something that like it's a guy who was in a role he didn't deserve or something. And Hakeem was just like a role player, good role player. Nothing wrong with like Michigan State's losing Joey Hauser. That's not addition by subtraction.
Oh, maybe it's addition by subtraction for the fact that Hakeem Hart probably wanted to be the best player on that team and he wouldn't accept being the third option, which he should be.
Honestly, if I was a college basketball coach, I would not want anyone on my team who wants to play for Kyle Neptune. That should be a huge red flag. So they dodged that bullet. All right. I like your picks. I like all our picks, actually.
Yeah, I really like yours. I'm in on Miami too. We can be in on them too.
Okay.
Kansas State was also outside the top 25.
I thought about them, but I don't trust Kaluma enough as a centerpiece. Like, I don't think he can beat Keontae Johnson.
I think you're going to have a moment this season where you have your change team. I'm back in on that player. Like Courtney Ramey leaving Texas.
You're right.
It's going to happen with Kaluma.
You're right. I fear for what the new song is for Kansas State too. Like, I think they had the magical little baby thing. Like, they can't replicate that. And they're going to try to replicate that. And I'm fearful for what that looks like in year 2.
Yeah. We're going to have to see what happens. And that stuff always looks good when you're winning. When you're losing, get prepared to get cooked.
Sophomore albums are always worse than debuts. Okay, to topic number 2 of Carter Elliott's takeover.
That might have to be a topic one day about sophomore albums being flops, because I don't think that's necessarily true.